Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you so much to all of our Champion Provider Fellows and LHT representatives that have joined us for this call. We're very excited for today's talk. I first want to make sure that you've checked your audio, and if you can hear us, please write yes in the chat box. So my name is Wagata Semere. I am one of the faculty with the Champion Provider Fellowship Program, and in that role, I have been able to lead these webinars and work on our work in progress sessions to discuss the work that our fellows are doing around advancing policy systems and environmental change interventions. And we are really excited for today's webinar that is one of the ways in which we can support the work that you're doing and provide you with examples of successful interventions in our community.
Perfect, and thank you, Agata. My name is Lana Peffinger, and I'm the project manager for the Champion Provider Fellowship. Just wanted to provide a few housekeeping items. It sounds like everyone is doing well with the audio, which is great. Just want to let everybody know that we'll be keeping you in listen-only mode, and then once we get into the Q&A portion, we'll go ahead and open that up if we call on you. But in the meantime, we're going to go through the presentation. Please make sure to utilize the question chat function. We'll be monitoring that to help with the moderated Q&A session at the end of the webinar. And as always, a recording will be distributed and posted online for your viewing afterwards. And then just one other update for the fellows and local health departments. I wanted to remind you all that we have the mini college coming up on March 26th in Sacramento. That's a full day training. Important to note is that the registration deadline as well as the hotel cutoff deadline are both February 25th. So if you are attending, make sure to mind those deadlines. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it back over to Wagata.
Thank you, Alana, and we are looking forward to having all of you join us for the mini college, so please don't forget to register. So for today's webinar, we will be discussing strategies to promote healthy food access via farmers markets. We'll be taking a closer look at the Market Match program. We'll also explore federal, state, and local policy levers to fund and support food incentive programs and briefly touch upon opportunities to expand benefits beyond the farmers market setting. I'd now like to introduce today's speaker. Lucy Asako-Bolts is a Farmers Market Access and Equity Program Coordinator at the Ecology Center. As a coordinator, she supports 43 California Market Match Consortium member organizations across the state in offering healthy food incentives at almost 300 certified farmers markets and farm direct sites. Lucy holds a BA in Ethnic Studies from Brown University and a certificate in Ecological Horticulture from the Center for Agroecology and Sustainable Food Systems at UC Santa Cruz. Lucy, thank you for presenting today. We're looking forward to it, and I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, thanks. Let me start up. Okay, so welcome to my presentation. It's from the Ecology Center on Market Match, which is a healthy food incentive program. And so I'll be talking about SNAP incentives at California's farmers markets, touching on enhanced health, food security, and economic development. So for the agenda for this webinar, first I'm going to give an overview of the Ecology Center and its work on healthy food incentives and healthy food access. Then I'm going to go over the Market Match program, and then I'm going to go into the reasons why we have a healthy food incentive program, what are the drivers for that. Then we're going to zoom out and look at the healthy food incentive policy landscape nationwide and across the state of California outside of Market Match. And then we'll look at opportunities, like you said, for calls to action, and then move into Q&A. So the learning objectives for this presentation One is that you understand how market match system of healthy food incentives works in California and specifically the intentions of the program. Then we hope you understand the broader context of the healthy food incentives and healthy food access programs and policies in a wider lens. And finally, we hope that you understand how healthcare providers and public health agencies can support the work of healthy food incentive programs like Market Match, which they have done a lot of in the past already. So the Ecology Center's mission is to inspire and build a sustainable, healthy, and just future for the East Bay, California, and beyond. And the organization was founded in 1969, so we're coming up on the 50th anniversary. And we achieve our mission by focusing on issues related to zero waste, food and farming, and climate action. And so we do this in a number of ways. But I'm going to move swiftly on to talk about the program because we have a lot of content. So here's a picture of our staff in front of our eco store, and the store is one way that we promote sustainable living through non-plastic items and sustainably produced items. And there you can see as well recycling pickup workers, since the Ecology Center does recycling pickup for the city of Berkeley. So our vision for change includes these four elements. It's educate, demonstrate, replicate, and advocate, and that plays out in the Market Match program. So we're always trying to educate the general public and engage the public in discussion and learning around issues of zero waste in our issue areas. We also are interested in demonstrating actually how to live those out through our programming. And we also try to find ways with that on-the-ground knowledge that we gain to replicate and scale those systems and programs. And we've done that with Market Match to a statewide level. And we also use our experience from that to advocate in terms of policy, both at the state level and national. So Ecology Center's food and farming programs, we have a bunch. Besides the statewide Market Match program, we also operate 3 Berkeley farmers markets ourselves. We also have a youth-led farm stand, so that's part of our youth development work, which is based in a environmental justice model. We also host and run the Bay Area Seed Interchange Library, the Berkeley Food Policy Council. We also staff the California Alliance of Farmers Markets. I'll be talking a little bit more about that and what that group does and the relevance. And then I'll talk a bunch about the Farmers Market Access and Equity Program, which works on Market Match, as well as support for farmers markets across the state to accept EBT. And then that program also works on training and technical assistance nationally on incentives, healthy food incentives, that is. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Alliance, California Alliance of Farmers Markets. So this is an industry group for farmer market professionals. It has 150 farmer market members, and it's led by a 13-member steering committee. And it works to further California farmers markets as an industry. And last year, we were awarded a federal grant that has allowed us to launch a statewide video campaign to motivate new shoppers to visit farmers markets. And we have the goal of making farmers markets accessible to everyone. And we also have the goal of sharing resources. So that's done in the form of webinars, toolkits, resources that other organizations provide, and the Alliance works on policy advocacy as well. And this is important because it's an avenue that we can work broadly with the entire farmers market industry across California and find out what are their issues that they see, barriers that they're facing that they need to thrive, and also to kind of connect outside of our EBT work to make sure we're having an impact on accessibility, even for farmers markets that don't have the resources to go through that process yet. So now I'm going to talk about the work Ecology Center's done with food access at farmers markets. So yeah, it's been a long history of working with farmers markets. It's important to know about how farmers markets can accept CalFresh, or when I say CalFresh, I'm talking about SNAP, EBT, all the same program. In California, it's CalFresh, of course. And so when CalFresh or SNAP moved onto an electronic benefits transfer card, farmers markets no longer had a way to accept this form of payment. And so the Ecology Center worked with the California Department of Social Services and the Federal Nutrition Service to develop a central point of sale model. And so this model was piloted and then became the model of every farmer's market that now accepts CalFresh. So we've helped over 300 farmers markets adopt and use the model. And it's not easy to actually transfer farmers markets to accept CalFresh. You have to navigate multiple federal and state agencies, and so we do one-on-one technical assistance. We help farmers markets order their script, train their vendors, help with outreach, and we also post a step-by-step guide about how to do this. What we're helping people, we make it very clear and transparent with a step-by-step guide on our website. So just to give you a sense, there's around 750 certified farmers markets in California, and there's also 500 of those around have CalFresh access. So we are excited to see that grow. Another thing that we work on is by hosting this web tool. So this is the fmfinder.org website. So when healthy food incentives, which I'll talk more about soon, but there's no place to know which markets are accepting CalFresh and which aren't. And so we developed this tool with LA Department of Social Service in 2013. So it could be a one place where you can see where are the farmers markets and who's offering what. So you can see the different colors. Red is for EBT accepted. Orange is no benefits, and then when Market Match started, green is Market Match. So it's a statewide database. We work to keep it up to date. It's in English and Spanish. In the next slide, I'll show you how when you search for a city, it pulls up that the farmers markets in that area with the times of day and explains what they accept. So you'll see on this screen, it also accepts WIC, Senior FMNP, or Farmers Market Nutrition Program checks, WIC FNV, fruit and vegetable checks, so it provides even more information. So now we'll get into Market Match. So Market Match is the Healthy Food Incentive Program that Ecology Center runs, has been in existence for over 10 years. So it started in 2009, and it's one of the first healthy food incentive programs in the country. And I'm going to first bring you to a video. This video was created by the San Francisco Public Health Department to explain how the program works for customers. So, oh wait, I think that's my next slide. So before we go into that, I'll go over the program goals. So the first goal is to support families make healthy food choices. So we want to eliminate the healthy food gap, and specifically with our low-income communities in our state. We also want to support local farmers. We specifically want to support farmers that are leaders and innovators of sustainable farming practices, and we'll talk more about why we see farmers markets as the key to do that. And then the third point is to support local economies and the state economy. Farmers markets being a really important avenue to support a local economy. And then, like I've been saying, the incentive, so it matches CalFresh purchases at farmers markets, a dollar for dollar match, and that incentive, Market Match incentive, can be used only for fruits and vegetables. And there's usually a daily maximum of usually $10. So here you're seeing on the screen the point of sale device where customers will swipe and get their tokens, and here you see the EBT script and the Market Match script. So this is a visual that we often use. So now I'm going to play the video.
Hi there, I'm Ryan with the San Francisco Human Services Agency, and I'm here today at Heart of the City Farmers Market to talk to you about CalFresh. Now, if you're enrolled in CalFresh, or if you're just interested in learning a little bit more about the program, it's important for you to know that you don't have to just spend those dollars at big box retailers or grocery stores. You can actually spend those same dollars right here at the farmers market. Let me show you how. Have you seen these signs here before? The ones that say we accept EBT here? You've probably seen them around the city. But Did you also know that you can also spend them right here at the farmer's market? And even better, we teamed up with Market Match to actually double your buying power when you spend them on fruits and vegetables. Here's how it works. When you visit a participating farmer's market with the EBT card, you gotta make sure that you stop by the information booth first. For every CalFresh dollar you spend, they'll give you double that amount in shopping tokens. But what that means is that for $5 in EBT benefits, you get $10 of local seasonal produce. Now that we have our tokens, let's get shopping. Thank you so much for your time, and please help us spread the word. Remember, this is just one way that we're trying to keep healthy and fresh food affordable. Hopefully, I'll see you at the next farmer's market.
So that video was really great in that you can see how the video instructs customers to use the information booth. And so that's what we mean when we say the single central point of sale. And that's to avoid the problem of having to have each farmer vendor, get their own SNAP retailer POS point of sale device. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the scale of the program. I did mention that Ecology Center is the lead organization, and we're working with a network of regional leaders, so 43 organizations, to implement the program. And what Ecology Center provides is centralized fundraising, grant administration, promotions, trainings, technical assistance, and we also convene those 43 organizations in a community of practice. So we have webinars bi-monthly, and we also offer once a year a face-to-face meeting conference to share knowledge among the community of practice. So the scale of the program, it's at nearly 300 locations across California, and we specifically want to reach like areas that are rural, that are need food access, as well as urban areas that are also facing food desert conditions. And in terms of scale, we also were able to distribute over $2 million in incentives in 2019, and those farmers market sites also were receiving $3 million in CalFresh spending in 2019. So that we don't have the numbers exactly yet for 2019, but for 2018, there were over around 225,000 shopper transactions, which led to approximately 9 million servings of fresh fruits and vegetables. So we see the impact as both about food access and also about impacting farms, local, regional, mid-size, and small farmers. And we're also really excited to see that because we want the CalFresh impact of those dollars to go back into the local economy. So when we're looking about why have a healthy food incentive program, one of the reasons, and I'm sure a lot of people are aware of these issues, is diet-related disease and health inequities. So diet-related disease doesn't affect everyone equally, and it is tied to structural issues about food access, healthy food access, and one of those points that you see on the screen is that nearly 1 million Californians live in food deserts, and those are defined as low-income areas where residents have to travel more than 1 mile to find a grocery store. So that's definitely a barrier to getting food, is not even having access. And to point out, 11% of California is qualified for CalFresh, and that's 4.2 million people. We also know that the index price of fresh fruits and vegetables has increased a lot, and it's more expensive than paying for highly processed foods. And we also know that obesity and diabetes rates are disproportionately high for low-income communities and least healthy food environments. But there are a number of ways that you can approach this issue. It doesn't have to just be healthy food incentives. Some organizations are working on encouraging the building of grocery stores in these areas of food desert areas. Some are trying to limit the number of fast food restaurants is another avenue, and some are working on farmers markets. So how can we be sure that healthy food incentives specifically at farmers markets are an effective intervention? Well, there's been one nationwide study in 2013 that was published, and it was funded by CDC, and it found that healthy food incentive programs increased consumption of healthy foods in low-income communities. Specifically, that study was conducted over 24 states and the District of Columbia, and it was a program that served over 131,000 SNAP customers, and they found that more than 3/4 of SNAP recipients reported that they had increased their purchase of produce because of the incentive program. And in addition, there was another study that same year, specifically in Massachusetts, that had a randomly assigned household within one county that they gave the healthy food incentive to. And that study found that 2/3 of those households that were given the incentive used it to buy more fruits and vegetables. So those studies point to the effectiveness of these programs. Another thing that we're looking at when we're thinking about why should we put these healthy food incentives specifically at farmers markets is that Ecology Center has an approach to food access that has an eye towards the entire food system. So the industrialization of agriculture over the last 50 or so years has led to an abundance of food, but the downside is that it's had negative environmental and health effects. And so some of the environmental effects are listed on the screen. Monoculture cropping leads to the higher susceptibility to soil-borne disease. It also is associated with an increased reliance on pesticide use, which leads to contamination of waterways and also exposes humans and the environment to pesticides. We've also seen a really strong consolidation of farmland and farm businesses, which have cut out mid-sized farmers from the market, and that's been reported on by the USDA. And we've also seen that the welfare of farm workers has been something that's needed to be addressed as well when you think about the food system, not just the products, that's the food, but also the people who produce it. So small and mid-sized farms are a great place to start when you're thinking about food system change. They are the sector that's most heavily, though not entirely, engaging in practices of sustainable agriculture. And some of the things that you see on this slide are what I'm talking about when I mention sustainable agriculture. That refers to a higher diversification of crops, so a higher crop list, which is increased rotation of crops, which helps the soil structure and the continued health of the soil for future productivity, less reliance on pesticide, more moderation in tillage practices, consideration of insectary plants, all these things that are considering the wider environment. Also, we are also supporting small and mid-sized farms because they're really important to developing a regional food system. And so regional food systems can help us be less reliant on global supply chains or a single supply chain. When there's a disruption in that supply chain, it increases the food insecurity in a region. And also, we think there's more potential for regional farms, small and mid-sized farms, to have more accountability to their region in terms of environmental effects. And we're also interested in how these small and mid-sized farms, how they treat their workers and how the welfare of farm workers is. Farm work is the second most dangerous occupation in the U.S., and farm workers suffer the highest rate of toxic chemical injuries of any worker in the U.S. And so there have been studies specifically on what workers need to improve their workplace. I've listed that at the back of this presentation with other resources. And those studies tell us that they need respectful treatment, communication, and a humane pace of work. So here This visual shows us when we compare the grocery store model to the farm direct model, you see on the left from farm to sales outlet all the different transportation steps that are needed to move that, environmental effects, and all the businesses that are involved. But when you go from farm direct to farmers market, you see less transportation steps and other businesses being involved and more of the money going to the farmer. So that's reflected as well in this graphic, which represents how much money when people are collectively we're spending on food, how much of it is actually going to the farmer. So only 11.6% is going to farm and agribusiness. A lot of it's going to food services, food processing, and other sectors. And so farmers markets are a great way to put that money back to the farmer. And I want to talk about the expansion of Market Match. So it's been a big expansion from 2010 to now. 2010 having only around 50 sites, and now we're at like 280 sites. We saw a big expansion in 2015, and that's reflective of federal funding, which I'll review soon. And we had a dip in 2018 because we were not allowed to count sites that weren't farmers markets, but were other types of sites like CSAs and farm stands. This slide shows a big expansion we've seen in Market Match usage. So the blue or the green is benefits, CalFresh benefits, and the light yellow is Market Match incentives. And we've topped 5 million in combined in 2019. So we've seen that expand. So that's $5 million being spent at farmers markets, and serving or going to small and mid-sized regional farms, which we're really excited to see that. Now I'm going to go over the network model. So how does this program work? So first we have the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the National Institute for Farm and Agriculture. So USDA has appropriated money by Congress through the Farm Bill for the Gus Schumacher Nutrition Incentive Program. The federal agency funds a number of healthy food incentive programs across the country. We also have funds from the California State General Funds. This was passed in legislation to fund the California Healthy Food Incentive Program. And both of those funding streams goes to the California Department of Food and Ag, specifically the Office of Farm to Fork. They have a competitive application process and award grantees for this California Nutrition Incentive Program. And Ecology Center and Market Match is their biggest grantee. So that's what I'm talking about with the 43 regional lead organizations, which also receive private and in-kind funding as well. So just to give you a sense of those 43 partner organizations, here's a slide that shows all those organizations and their logos, just to promote that they're really there, even though they're not represented in the rest of the slides. We did an analysis of the program with USC in 2015 that conducted analysis of what the impact was. We saw with the survey of respondents of shoppers that, which included more than 2,000 shoppers, that 73% of shoppers reported increasing the amount of fresh and fruits and vegetables they bought each week. So we're really happy to see that. We also were excited to see that 71% said that reported that their family's health had improved by participating in it. One of the quotes I wanted to share is on the screen. It says, it's been a major transformation. I used to eat out every day and was overweight. Now I make time for good fruits and veggies because Market Match makes them affordable. So that's kind of a comment we hear pretty often from shoppers all across the state. The findings also show that there could be an implication of this change in diet to diet-related disease. And so this is an estimate of what that impact could be, a reduce in type 2 diabetes and the health savings. Now, we also wanted to look at what is the impact on farmers. And when surveying farmers, we found that 84% said they sold more fruits and vegetables when participating in the program, and that's really exciting for us to hear. We also wanted to see if it in any way changed how they ran their business, if it allowed them to expand their operations with new hires, equipment, acreage, and crops, if it was that significant to them. And 37% said it was. So that was a pretty surprising finding that we thought was significant. And then we also want to look at how does this influx of money from the federal government have an impact in the entire community. So over the course of the grant period, which was 2 years, there was 2.5 million in market match incentives redeemed at the sites. That was on top of 4.2 million in SNAP benefits that were spent at those sites. And then when we surveyed people, they planned to spend a collective 2.7 million in additional cash or benefits at the market. They also estimated that they would plan to spend collectively 2.8 million in spending in nearby businesses around the market, which we see as contribution to the local economy. So that totaled 9.7 million in economic activity based on the market match program, which is a 360% return on the investment. So now I'm going to zoom out and look at healthy food incentive policies at the federal and state level and what's been happening that's led to this success. So their healthy food incentive programs, like I said, started around 2009 in a number of locations across the U.S. And these programs had support from their local communities, but also a former USDA Undersecretary of Ag named Gus Schumacher. And so Market Match and other programs like it, like Double Up Food Bucks in Michigan and other states, prove that this model could be effective and work to increase healthy food and consumption of fruits and vegetables. And so with the successes and also a lot of advocacy in getting these programs to be funded at a permanent long-term level in the U.S. Farm Bill, which Ecology Center played a big role in engaging lead organizations and SNAP recipients to advocate for that. Then the healthy food incentives were funded in the U.S. Farm Bill in 2015 for 5 years at $100 million. After this continued to be successful, it was included in the 2019 U.S. Farm Bill at $250 million for 5 years. So that more than doubled. Meanwhile, in California, California legislature passed with the support and sponsorship by Representative or Assembly Member Phil Ting, that a bill that put money towards the Healthy Foods Incentive Program at $5 million in the budget, and this was doubled the next year to $10 million. So there you see a picture of Phil Ting with other advocates of advocate organizations after the passage of that bill to appropriate state money towards healthy food incentives. And then more recently, last year, there was a passage in the California legislature of the California Fruit and Vegetable Pilot Program. So this is $9 million that's been appropriated to test new technologies that could integrate the healthy food incentive directly onto the EBT card and pilot that technology both at farmers markets and grocery store chains. So now I want to share a bit more with you about healthy food incentive programs outside of Market Match. And they're at various different programs. So some are at grocery stores like you see on the picture to the right. There are other programs all across the country too. I'm listing the ones in California, but in Michigan, there's Double Up Food Bucks, which has been operational since 2009 and has a number of partners across other states, 30 other states, including California. And because CNIP, or California Nutrition Incentive Program, is a competitive process, these are some of the other grantees. So LA Food Policy Council, Mandela Partners in Oakland, Food Trust in San Jose are also offering healthy food incentive programs. And they're doing it in different types of ways. Mas Fresco program is operating in UC with with help or support from UC San Diego. Researchers there are also studying how it's working, and that program operates in 3 counties of LA County, San Diego County, and Orange County. And then SPUR is a grantee from the federal money and operating in San Jose at 4 locations at 4 grocery stores. So now I want to get into how county agencies have supported healthy food incentive programs. So many county departments of social services, public health departments have worked with Market Match to outreach directly to CalFresh customers to spread the word about Market Match using their existing resources. So they've included brochures on Market Match to within their semi-annual renewal notices, and this is an example of one of those that they helped design. And we also worked with the LA Department of Public Social Services to send it out to over 600,000 CalFresh households, and this has really been great to promote the message. They also have been active in educating their outreach workers about Market Match and giving opportunity. Ecology Center is very open to working with county departments on that, providing that training. They also post flyers, posters, videos, and screens in offices about Market Match, so it can be a passive advertisement that they don't have to do. They can do that in addition to talking about it when they're talking to CalFresh customers. And there also have been a number of text message campaigns that have been pretty effective. Here's a slide that shows the inside of that brochure, and we just wanted to mention that here it's really great. We want to emphasize the program by both emphasizing farmers markets and make it really legible that CalFresh is accepted by highlighting the EBT card and giving them directions to all the markets in their area. So now I want to take a look at healthy food access, what local ordinances and state legislation has passed that are about not just healthy food incentives, but food access. So some of those have been on the topic of sugar sweetened or soda beverage taxes. So the first in the nation was in Berkeley. It was a soda tax measure. And then there was one in San Francisco. And this tax measure was passed without a dedication for the funds raised. So they created a committee to suggest uses for the revenue, which was estimated to be $15 million. And then the city took that process and took those suggestions, and some of them, those funds have gone directly into healthy food incentive programs, specifically at the heart of the city, Farmers Market in San Francisco, which is the highest highest distributing Market Match site. And we also see Oakland soda tax measure. So that's been an active one way to address the issue. Another example of a piece of legislation or city ordinance that's affected food access is in the city of Los Angeles, which passed a ordinance to mandate CalFresh access at farmers markets in 2016. So previously, more than half were not equipped to accept EBT. And sponsors of the ordinance worked with the LA Food Policy Council to host a day for farmers market managers to get their point of sale device and work on their paperwork. Because Ecology Center had so much experience, decades of working with EBT and farmers markets, we worked with LA Food Policy Council to express the needs that farmers markets had to ensure that they had enough resources to be able to still stay in business. Because it's important to remember that farmers markets are facing a lot of obstacles. They have more logistical concerns to get CalFresh access than a grocery store. They also are operating on really thin budgets and often are nonprofits with very small margins. So when legislation that passes to require CalFresh acceptance, we advocate that resources have to be in place to support farmers markets in adding this. Otherwise, we might lose those kinds of farm direct outlets. So now I'm talk a little bit about Market Match in the next 5 years. We're hoping to always expand to more SNAP clients. We want to expand to more types of sites, CSAs, farm stands, mobile farmers markets, which have been a great source of reaching more people, and continue to pilot in a grocery store. And when we do that, we always want to keep in mind continuing to prioritize small and mid-sized farms in that setting. We want to expand geographically and always are expanding partnerships to increase awareness and support for Market Match and do some policy advocacy with a food systems approach. So here are some ways that you can be involved. We definitely want you to visit fmfinder.org and find the farmers market in your region and see what they offer. We want you to spread the word about healthy food incentive programs like Market Match with your colleagues and your patients. Work with other advocates and implementers to advocate for policies that support healthy food incentives in the future. So supporting baseline funding, permanent funding for these programs. And we also hope that you stay informed about policy changes to SNAP and CalFresh, and advocate that SNAP and CalFresh are fully funded. And we hope you just take a look and go out and visit your local farmers market as well. So here are some of resource links I included, and I think you could, the organizers will send out a copy of the PDF of the slide deck so you can have the links to some of the sources that I'm using. And here we have some of the websites of Ecology Center and the organizations I mentioned, as well as some studies. And here's a second slide of resource links. Oh wait, I'll let you look at that for a second. So we have farming, healthy food gap, health inequity, and SNAP. And then lastly, thanks so much for your time and attention. Here's my contact information, as well as Carly Brinkman's, who's the program director for the Farmers Market Access and Equity Program, and also the larger Food and Farming Department at Ecology Center. So thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. So with that, we'll start the question and answer session of the webinar. We have time for a couple of questions. If you have a question that we're not able to address, we will follow up with you offline.
So Lucy, I know one question that came in was about who kind of mans the information booth at the different farmers markets.
Okay, yeah. It's the market manager or an employee of the market operator. So most farmers markets are run by either nonprofits or the city, or like, I think those are the two main ones. So it'll be, if it's a very small market, sometimes that's one person managing both all the vendors and the information booth. So at times that person might be walking around with like a vest to identify themselves as the one person that can swipe cards and accept EBT. But ideally they're sitting there, there's somebody there at the information booth that can help people understand how to use their CalFresh and swipe the card and give them the tokens or script. Yeah.
Also, I know one of the areas of opportunity that you had identified in the slide was with expansion of Market Match to farm stands. Has there been any preliminary work in that area? And if so, can you elaborate on what you've done to date?
Oh yeah, we already operate Market Match at a number of farm stands, as well as CSA or community supported agriculture pickups, which is I'm not sure if everybody's familiar, but similar to a farm stand in that you're directly paying the farmer, and they're giving you a box of vegetables every week, and you might be able to pay in installments, not even all up front. So we do that in a number of sites. And another alternative type of site is also a mobile farmers market. So that's when a farmers market operator will buy from farmers, and they're all certified producers, and go around in like a mobile van and sell the produce. So that's happening at a number of sites, and we're just starting to publicize those sites on the FM finder, even though it's FM for farmers market, we're also going to include market match sites that are those alternative sites. But of course, those operators are definitely doing their own outreach about their programming and their programs. So they have their own networks for promoting themselves. But we're excited to see that a growth opportunity because we also want the farmers to be able to participate in market match right on by themselves without having to get into a certain farmers market.
Perfect. Thank you for that response. Can you expand this? So one question, I know that there's materials that are offered in both Spanish and English. Is there plans to make the website and materials accessible in Chinese?
Yeah. For other languages of our outreach materials, we offer our flyers and templates to our partners in a number of languages, including Chinese, Spanish, Vietnamese, Armenian, and I think that might be it. But those resources are on the EBT toolkit that I referenced. There's a section on templates and promotion where we allow people to download those templates as well.
Great. Do you have any thoughts on how public charge will affect SNAP or market match?
Yeah. I can't say for certain. I don't know how that will affect the program. We hope that that people will still be not scared of enrolling in CalFresh, and those won't affect a decline or people being bumped off of the program. We don't know honestly how that will affect it, but we're working. We do partner with other food access organizations, California Food Policy Advocates, and others to know what's happening in the realm of SNAP access, and especially with the ruling about able-bodied that just came in, and I included a link about that organization's case statement about that federal ruling, and then now the state attorney general lawsuits against it. We're hoping. We have seen that a strong increase in usage of the program since the SSI cash out happened, allowing SSI recipients to enroll in CalFresh, and that's led to a huge boost in our program. So, but we're not sure exactly how other rulings will affect usage of the program. Yeah.
Great. One individual was wondering about if you had any strategies for establishing new relationships with farmers markets, especially if you're a local health department.
Yeah. Well, I think that identifying the farmers markets themselves is maybe, I'm not sure if that's the first step or if that's already in place, but getting connected with food access organizations generally, they might have connections too. Ecology Center, I think, is a great place to reach out, because even though we have these 43 regional partners that are farmers market operations, and some of them operate up to 40 markets. So we have those connections, and those people have connections to people who are not in that network too. So that would be a great place. And also we're presenting at the California Small Farms Conference, which is also a conference that has a farmers market track into it. So we have connections and long-term relationships with these farmers markets. We're always looking to grow that. So that could be a great place, I think, to connect. But also, I think it is hard to, different markets have different levels of capacity for partnership. Some are having a lot of capacity, and they can work directly with public health departments or other agencies to have some CalFresh enrollment being donated, or a person at the market, a professional to help with that, or nutrition classes supported through a public health department. But others are operating with such little capacity that they can't work up towards that. So I think starting the conversation is always a great place, and we're hoping that more and more farmers markets will make connections with their local county department of public health and local department of social service as well. But yeah,
Great.
Ecology Center has worked to connect those people too within our network. So I think that's what I mean when I say you can reach out to Ecology Center. We could work on that connection too.
Great. And we'll make sure that obviously your contact information as well as Carly's is available to all the attendees on today's webinar. Another question came in. I was wondering if you have resources for exploring market match for CSAs. I'm working on developing a pilot CSA program and looking for additional resources for using market match and other incentive programs.
Sorry, the audio cut out about it. What was the acronym?
Oh, for CSAs?
Call for applications, is that what that is? For a healthy food incentive program?
Community supported agriculture, is that?
Oh, CSA. Oh, okay.
Yes, CSA. Yeah. So there's an individual that's looking at developing a pilot with CSA and market match and other incentive programs. I was wondering if there's resources available to inform that.
To apply for funding from CNIP, from California Nutrition Incentive Program, or from other sources? Yeah. Well, for funding, okay, I could just speak on funding. Yeah, you could be applying to the California Nutrition Incentive Program that's run by CDFA, California Department of Food and Ag. You could also be finding other sources of funding to support it, private funding. Before 2015, this was all supported in kind of a hodgepodge manner, I think, getting together funding from various sources. Some of it was coming from specialty crop grants from CDFA at one point. So there's other sources, I think. Now that we have permanent baseline funding, that's a big step in terms of permanence. And so I think Ecology Center will be opening a call for applications for Market Match this spring. So we're going to increase our partners. So that would be a way too. And you could also talk to some of our member organizations to see that some of them are getting money funding for it through the San Francisco soda tax. So there are other matching funds that people have secured other than in-kind kind of, working, donating their time or their organization's resources. And there might be, I think, hospital foundations that might be supportive, but definitely Carly might know more about that. And I don't know, I imagine you might have a program on a webinar talking about the Veggie RX program, the Veggie Prescription Program, which is another program where, yeah, I didn't include information on that, but it's a whole nother program that would be great for your fellowship to be aware of.
Great. And then another question was talking about the fact that sometimes produce tends to be more expensive at farmers markets than regular grocery stores. What are your thoughts on how to address this?
Yeah, actually, that's a really great point, and I really want to speak to that point. It really varies by market and by region. So there is this big sense out there that these are elitist or expensive or more expensive than a grocery store, but you really got to look at the price and compare. There was a study done by the Agricultural Institute of Marin that found that the prices on certain vegetables were very competitive or cheaper at farmers market. So it's kind of getting over the hurdle of seeing your own preconceptions of what it is and looking at each vendor's pricing, and the whole experience is different. So that perception kind of is definitely swayed by that. But it's true that in some high income markets, there's packaged goods that are very expensive. So that's also influencing the idea that it's more expensive. But when we're looking at fresh produce, at some of these markets, there can be very competitive pricing. So, and especially Market Match, the fact that we've seen such growth in the use of these incentives shows us that at least the incentives, with that incentive, CalFresh customers are willing to make the trip to the farmer's market for it. So that tells us that they see that, well, maybe they do think that the price is more expensive, but with the incentive, it makes it definitely worth it for them, despite the fact that farmers markets are more limited hours than your general chain grocery store. So yeah, so affordability is very different in different areas about the price point of these products, and I would love to see more research on it on different regions other than the Marin East Bay area research that's been done.
Great, thank you. I don't think we have any other questions that have come through. So Agata, I'll turn it over to you if you have any closing thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy, for that wonderful presentation and educating us about the innovative and much needed work the Ecology Center is doing. As you can tell from the engaged and lively Q&A and our wide attendance on this webinar, it's a topic of great interest to our fellows and LHDs and community partners. So I think you'll be hearing from some of them even afterwards.
Great.
Yeah. So with that, I'd just like to officially thank you again and thank all of our attendees for being able to make it on the webinar today and for being engaged with us. We'll provide a full recording, including the slides that will be made available to you so you can see all of those great resources that Lucy put together. We'll also email out a link with the link to the webinar recording.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, and hope everybody has a great rest of their day.